And there we go. And there is Beth.
Hey guys. Great conversation to get things kicked off and started this evening. And it's really fun to see people from so many different locations. I want to invite you guys to show your videos so I can see real people. We don't get to see people that much anymore. So I would love for you to show your videos. Let me see what you look like. You see what me and Andy look like. It kind of gives a connection that we're missing so much these days. So thank you for those of you who are brave enough to let us see your face. So thank you for that. A lot of the conversation, really interesting stuff going on in some of the organizations. I really appreciate some being able to listen in on that networking session. And I think there are some interesting opportunities for you. So my job today is to get a solid foundation of what Disciplined Agile is. So I've walked through the presentation with Andy, getting his feedback to see if that's what we're looking for. So I'll break it down to you what it is. I've heard some perspectives of what we think it is. Marty, are you on the beach? Wow. Which beach is it? I'm sorry, I just have to take a pause here. You could type it or you could unmute and tell us. Because that looked like a real picture, not a background, right? Do you guys see the difference? Yeah.
It looks real.
It looks real. Well, I'm a little bit jealous, but maybe I'll go to the beach tomorrow. So when you get a chance, let us know where you're
Yeah,
at.
I'm at St. George Island in Florida.
Oh, fabulous. Your picture came up really big on this computer.
Opportunity, so I apologize for turning my camera on and distracting
No,
you.
I love it. I love it. I think that's awesome. And I'm honored you're coming to see us at the beach. This could be something you guys want to write about. Northeast Ohio gets people to come from the beach to their events, right? That's kind of awesome.
You got people on from Mexico City, so it's an international event.
Right. This is very, very cool. So I am going to kind of take you through some of the basics of Disciplined Agile, give you some framing and language. So if people say, what is it? You can say what it is. I appreciate the videos. I promise not to pick on anyone else like I did Marty. Marty, thank you for being a good sport. It just does help with that networking and having the sense that we are physically together. So thank you guys for doing that. I've also done a series of straw polls and research and interviews to find out where people think there is value in Disciplined Agile. So I've honed that over the last year, actually, and I've got 5 value propositions and examples of folks who have leveraged them to see if that's something that resonates with you. I'll talk a little bit about the certification. I will also give you some ideas of a roadmap forward. So that's me. You heard all that stuff. I can't believe you read that, Andy. You weren't supposed to, but that's okay. That's where we are. So this is an opportunity for you to understand Disciplined Agile and see if it's something for you, and be like that lady in the red jacket. Notice how she kind of just stands out from the crowd, to see if that's something that you want to add to your personal portfolio to make a difference in what you do. So I've already spoken to this, but this is our agenda. We'll talk to you about how to get started, and then we'll continue the conversation for those who wish to in the mentoring session following. So a brief background, just sitting, listening to folks chat, this is what I heard. Well, there's this Agile and there's that, and there's the Scaled Agile framework, and there's the program and the team of teams, and we're doing Scrum, and it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. If you studied for your ATP or you got it, you know that there's several domains, there's 50 practices. You have to understand what they are and what they do to pass that exam. And it's overwhelming. And so as I was learning about Disciplined Agile in the last 18 months or so, it reminded me of when I was headed to Rome. I was going to be doing several presentations for the PMI leadership meeting in Rome a few years ago. I had not been to Rome. I'd been to other parts of Italy, but not to Rome. So I kept asking people, what should I do? Where should I go? Where should I eat? But all those questions when you're planning a trip. I heard everything. Take the, you should make sure you take the bus because you can see everything. No, take the train. It stops at all the best spots. No, I think you should just walk. You see it. And I never got a consistent answer. I have a friend named Walter. Walter lives in Italy. Walter's been to Rome many times. And I reached out to him and I said, Walter, I need some advice. There's too many choices. It's overwhelming. And I want to make the best of my opportunities there. I'll go a little early, do the stuff at the conference, stay a few days later. And he said, Beth, give me your physical mailing address in the US. And I said, okay. Well, a couple weeks later, this book came. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a National Geographic guidebook to Rome. So I looked at it. If you can see, I have all these little tabs and pages turned over and highlighted. I was still in the same situation. I really didn't know what to do, how to make the most of my time. Walter said, Beth, don't worry. I'll take care of things when you get here. You know what Walter had done unknown to me? He had created a personalized tour for a small group of us with the author of this book, Michael Bros. That's who you see right there. How awesome. He was our coach of all things Rome. He's an American guy teaching in the university in Rome about Rome. Oh my gosh, he knew his stuff. He wrote the book. So that reminded me a little bit about Disciplined Agile. So we have all these practices and all these possibilities and all these opportunities, and it's overwhelming. And Disciplined Agile is like an umbrella over top of that. Guess what? We have experts too. Scott Ambler, Mark Lyons, Al Shalloway. We've got a guidebook. I've got mine right here. Choose your wow. Curious, how many of you guys are, all right, I see some popping up, love it. How many of you are PMI members? Yeah, you can do it like a thumbs up. You can raise your hand and you can put yes on the text chat. Lots of ways to communicate with me. You have the opportunity to download the PDF as a member benefit free of charge, right? So why not get that and start looking at it? We also have now over 40 Disciplined Agile coaches, of which I am one, by the way. And Andy, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm the only PMI fellow and Disciplined Agile coach at this time. So
you did. I didn't expound upon that.
I think that's kind of cool. Girls do rock, just for the record. So get a coach, right? Get your Michael Bros like we had in Rome. And boy, we had a great tour. It was awesome to work with somebody who knew the ins and outs of what we were trying to do. And so we want to focus in. I want to break things down for you to simplify Disciplined Agile, okay? Hopefully we'll simplify some of the mystery that's been floating around there. There are three tenets, three components of Disciplined Agile: freedom to choose, tailored guidance. We can choose from the best of those Agile practices that we saw and that we heard earlier. Guidance to understand and then narrow your options based on your context, your situation, your team, your experience, your skills, your organization, so that you can optimize how you work for your organization and for your team. It reminded me a little bit, I hope you guys have already eaten dinner because this might make you hungry, but it reminded me of my grandmother's cheesecake. Do you know those family recipes that are just awesome? Her cheesecake was really dense, heavy, delicious, not too sweet, but you could only eat a little sliver of it because it just filled you up. And I had the freedom to choose and tailored guidance. So I played with the recipe. I wanted it to be lighter, a little bit more fat-free, a little more health conscious. And I played with it while my grandmother was still living and brought it to her to taste it. She called her cheesecake the dreamy cheesecake. Well, I continued to play with it and improved it. And this is what I came up with. Yes, it's an actual picture of a cheesecake I made with a piece out of it because I always eat the first piece. And I call mine the creamy, dreamy cheesecake, a little bit lighter, less calories, but still very delicious. And I can eat a little bit bigger slice without being too full. That's what Disciplined Agile gives you. Start where you're at. See what you can do to improve on it, tweak it, continue to improve, and move forward. So there are 3 components. I heard the word mindset in the opening session, the networking session. There are 3 components of the Disciplined Agile mindset. There are principles, which I'm going to go a little deeper into. There are promises. These are things we promise to do as we're working with others in our team and other teams across the organization. That first one, psychological safety and embrace diversity. Who doesn't want to be in an organization that does that? Guidelines. These are guidelines that we as a team agree we're going to live by. Now, I happen to have a personal favorite of the guidelines, and I'm going to highlight that for you because my middle name happens to be Joy. So I like create effective environments that foster joy. And again, when I read all of these in details, who doesn't want to be in an organization that, or in a team that embraces these? So let's go a little bit deeper into the 8 principles. Have you, text chat me a little bit, give me some feedback in the text. Have you heard about the Disciplined Agile principles or not? Anybody heard anything about them? Some yes, some no. I would love to hear text chats from everybody. That just really helps me understand where we're at. So we got a kind of a 50-50 here. I'm going to briefly discuss each one of the principles. The first one is delight customers. It only makes sense that if we are delivering something to customers, we should delight them. I don't know how many times you have felt delighted by something. I was on a trip to Hawaii. I stayed at a hotel that I've never paid that kind of money for a 1-room in my entire life, but I justified it because I had points to fly, points for the other nights of the hotel, and points for my rental car. So I put all my bank into that one night, into this hotel. If you've been there to the road to Hana in Maui, I stayed at the Hana Maui Hotel. When I drove up, the guy comes to me, there's a big circle fountain. He comes to my car and he said, "Oh, Miss Willette, we're so happy that you're here." And I thought, oh my word, how does he know that's who I am? It was before all the social media stuff. It was before all the tracking of things. It was just, it was incredible. That moment until I left, all of the things I would have imagined I needed, they were showing up and bringing them to me before I even asked. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see over my shoulder here, there's a shell lei that was given to me when I entered that hotel. And this is 15 years later. It's still one of my best experiences. I was delighted. We want our customers to be delighted. Yes, meeting their expectations is good, but what can we do to truly delight them? Organize around products and services. This is actually the newest principle. It just makes sense. What we do should be focused on products or services. Context counts. We heard Andy talk about this. We make our choices based on where the team is. What's the context with which we are working? The next one is optimize flow. We want to seek to do what we do in a better way, right? Improve what we do, optimize our flow. Be pragmatic. Be pragmatic says, hey, look at where we are, because our context counts. See what we're doing today, and then let's seek to improve from there. We can't go crazy with it, but let's make smart choices. Let's seek to improve from there. Enterprise awareness. We are typically operating within a larger enterprise, and so what we do in the team is dependent on and has oversight by our enterprise. So sometimes we'll get directives that we need to stay within, and sometimes we have new ideas we want to share back to improve the overall enterprise and organization. Choice is good. Name of the book, Choose Your Wow. Choice is good, so we embrace that. We want teams to choose the thing that is best for them and then be awesome. If I could get you guys to think back about 18 months ago, life was really different. I just heard a gentleman say, I haven't commuted for some time. If we ever go back to the office, I'll have to pick up that commute. All of a sudden, there was something that changed. And offices were closed, people were working from home. And when I was working with clients, we had all kinds of new work participants. We had little fuzzy tails coming across the videos. We had dogs barking. We had children crawling up in laps. We heard, "Mommy, mommy, are you done yet?" All kinds of things changed, right? We had to do the best we could given our context, right? We had to be as pragmatic as possible, make the best choices we had with what we had going on. A friend of mine has 4 people, 2 adults, two children that are adult children, and the mom and dad all had to go working from home at a drop of a hat. And they said, boy, that was a nightmare the first couple of weeks till we figured things out. These guys always have to have headsets on because they're constantly on, and we don't want to hear all their conversations and their meetings. They set up an entire room like an office space. So they improved from where they were. They made different choices. They had to be pragmatic. They optimized flow. They continue to make it better and better. And that's what Disciplined Agile is about. So here's my question for the group. So we've got about 37 people online. Of these principles, which one resonates with you? If you picked your favorite principle, what would that be? Would you be so kind as to text chat that to everyone so we can kind of see where people are, what you're thinking? So like customers, be pragmatic, context counts, lots of pragmatic, optimize flow. Well, those seem to be the top 3. That's interesting. Cool. Cool. And thank you guys for that feedback. That's always really interesting. So I heard this also in the networking that Disciplined Agile is a toolkit. If you said that, you're absolutely correct. If you know a former version of Disciplined Agile or how it started, it was they called it a framework for a while, and then they continued to evolve and to develop it. It is a toolkit. And I like this big red toolkit. It reminds me of the toolkit my dad had, which I still have in my garage. There's certain tools in there. You pick the right tool for the right job. And that's what we want to do with Disciplined Agile. So your Disciplined Agile coach is really well skilled at helping you make those choices and decisions with the toolkit. Can help you with that. Now I heard about Scrum on the networking session. I heard Scaled Agile Framework mentioned. I don't think I heard Lean. Not sure if I heard Lean and Kanban. Those are all great Agile methods. They're different flavors of Agile. Here's what's cool about Disciplined Agile. You can start where you are. We love all of them. They're great starting points, and we embrace all of them. And the toolkit can help extend all of them and take them to the next level. Extreme programming fits in that category too. Anything you can imagine with, I just picked those 4 because they're some of the most used ones. Disciplined Agile really does embrace all of those and helps you take things to the next level. Let me give you a quick example. With Scaled Agile Framework, I was working with a gentleman, his first name is Paul. Paul was a program manager, I think he still is actually, doing Scaled Agile Framework. He had 9 Agile release trains and another 9 projects in the program. And he was having some challenges. There were some things that worked great, some things that weren't working. He did several days of training and workshop with us. Every single day, he was saying, that's what I need on my program. You've given me something again today I can use immediately. There are some gaps. There are some things we need to do better. And continually, he was finding possibilities to improve, to improve, to improve. And so just one example where Scaled Agile Framework and Disciplined Agile helped enhance and improve how they were working. 5 steps to Disciplined Agile. Analyze the context, select the best fit life cycle, connect the dots is the next step, make some choices, and practice continuous improvement. So I want to break these down for you just ever so briefly, each of the 5 steps. Analyze the context is what we start with. If you started reading Choose the Wow in the first section of the book, you've seen this spider diagram. This spider diagram is a starting point. It can evolve, it can change. You can tweak it as you decide what makes sense for your organization, but it's a starting point to help us understand, what are we dealing with? How big's the team? Where's the organization located? How distributed is the organization itself? Are we dealing with compliance issues? What about technical complexity? What does that look like? What about business and domain complexity? What does that look like? So it's a starting point. Analyze the context. So your team would analyze the context. Based on your knowledge, your type of project, the work you're doing, your team would make some choices about which life cycle makes the most sense. There are 6 life cycles that are explained in the Choose Your Wow book. Agile, Lean, Continuous Delivery Agile, Continuous Delivery Lean, a program or team of teams, and exploratory for that new discovery stuff. I propose to you also, I've used Agile with serial or traditional. So I've used Disciplined Agile practices and tools to help those traditional be a little bit more agile, have a little more agile mindset, and improve how they do their work. And it can also be used for the flex value stream. So I heard Matthew and Bruce, I think it was, talking about really trying to scale up and see how Disciplined Agile could really emphasize across the organization and see improvements. Your sweet spot might be Disciplined Agile transitioning into the Disciplined Agile value stream, because that's really intended for that organizational wide change to affect that. So that might be a possibility for you guys. So step 2, select the best life cycle fit. You could even select a hybrid, guys. If you've got a situation like some of my financial clients where they're doing very agile work on the development team, but because of compliance and regulatory and protocol, when they go to those levels of testing, it becomes a little bit more of a traditional testing approach. So do a hybrid approach. Do what works for the context of your team. The 3rd step is about connecting the dots. So we take our contextual analysis from step 1. We look at where are the risks. The further out on that spider diagram, the more risks we're going to have, the more challenges and complexities we'll have. So we look at those risks. We go to this list, and what you're looking at here are the Disciplined Agile phases. The purple is inception, the blue is construction, the orangey one is transition, and the gray at the bottom is ongoing. So those are the 4 Disciplined Agile phases. Within each phase, we have what we call process goals. Notice there are 8 process goals in inception. Hey, curious, can you guys let me know how many PMPs we've got in the house here? How many PMPs? You could raise a hand, wave at me, thumbs up, say yes, lots of text chat. So we got quite a few PMPs. You remember that process chart where it's got your process groups and then your knowledge areas, and then all those processes, like 42 of them, I forget how many there are now. They keep changing the number. It's probably new in the 7th edition. That's what this is like. This is sort of like your blueprint into the toolkit for Disciplined Agile. It's very cool. So inception is very much like the work that we would do in the planning and initiation when we're thinking about the PMBOK. So a lot of relationship to that. So The process goals all have meat behind them. I'll show you an example. Inception has 8, getting the team going in the right direction. Construction is incrementally building a consumable solution. Transition is releasing into production. And then your ongoing is making sure we evolve and work in an enterprise fashion. So as we think about these, when we are starting to decide where do we want to focus and what do we need to do, we would select various appropriate process goals. I've selected grow team members as our example. So step 3 is where you would select maybe a half dozen of these goals that you think would be valuable to your team to help you improve. I've selected grow team members. For every one of those goals, there is a goal chart or just goal tree, sometimes it's called. And so we see grow team members has 3 different light violet colored, those are called decision options. So those are our decision points. We have improved skill and knowledge, provide feedback, and sustain team. Step 4 is making choices. So this is where we start to look at what's available to us. So let's say we want to sustain the team. We've had a lot of challenges. There's been some ebb and flow, a lot of unrest in the last 18 months. We really want to sustain the team. We want to keep these folks intact, keep them together, keep them going. And so we're going to take a look at the practice options or the tools available to sustain team. We see to the right there, we've got coaching, mentoring. We're going to have a mentoring session in a little bit. Psychological safety, sustainable pace, whole team, recognition and appreciation. Now you might say, Beth, some of those words make sense, but some of them, I don't really know what you're talking about. Agreed. Same with me. So that's why we go into the book and there are tables that are presented that explain what is it talking about. So your option, what is coaching? Your option, what is mentoring? What is psychological safety, etc. Then to the right column, you've got trade-offs, pros and cons, if you will. If you select this option, here's some benefits, here's some things you're going to have to manage. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. I circled 2, psychological safety and recognition. And this will be available to you guys. I'll put a PDF together that you guys can have a copy of this so that you see it. But it's kind of cool. It gives me a little meat behind it. And often throughout the book, there's additional resources that you can link out to. So it truly is a toolkit. This is the 4th step, making choices. And we do this as a team. Our 5th step is practice continuous improvement. Who knows the guy who made famous Plan, Do, Check, Act, Plan, Do, Study, Act? Any text chats there? Wow, that was a quick one. John, you get the prize. Deming, absolutely. So you know that Plan, Do, Check, Act, Plan, Do, Study, Act. He kind of went back and forth, finally settled on Plan, Do, Study, Act. And I did my research on those 2. I kind of like the study a little bit better myself. You plan it, you do a little bit. Study gives a little bit stronger look at it. Did this work? How did it work? What worked? Why did it work? Do we want to act as opposed to a check in a box? So we put that against the continuous improvement, which is what's the problem? What are possible solutions? That's our plan. Let's try a few. That's our do. Assess the effectiveness. That's our study. We abandon it if it doesn't work. We adopt it if it does. And in either case, we share learnings and continue this loop again. By the way, my friend Paul that I mentioned earlier, when he saw this, he said, that's the meat I need at the end of my Agile release trains. We're not doing this well. We're repeating the same mistakes. So that was one of his gems that he got. So we want to make sure we understand the steps, analyze the context, select our life cycle, connect the dots, the context to the goals. Once we select the goals, we make choices, and then we practice continuous improvement throughout the project. So in a nutshell, this is what Disciplined Agile is. Rich, comprehensive, pretty well organized toolkit. It brings agnostic, professional, enterprise approach to Agile that you could leverage and use today. Understand where you're at, what your context is, make better decisions to choose your way of working. So that's kind of cool. By the way, I want to mention this, and maybe it'll be a follow-on opportunity. The Disciplined Agile toolkit has been put online in an automated format that is better than it has ever been. They've just done a recent release, and it is, they call it the Disciplined Agile browser is what they call it. It really helps you click and point and select these things. I do like flipping through a book every now and again, but if you're with a team, you can bring that browser up and boom, 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 as a group, look at that stuff together. So it's really cool. So that's the what. This is what's in it for you. This is the what's in it for me. So these are the top 5. I had 9 things that I've been playing with for the last year. These are the top 5 that have bubbled up that people say repeatedly are the value proposition for them with Disciplined Agile. So globally recognized, street cred for increased credibility, advantage for employment, professional growth, and I keep hearing that agility is the new workplace currency. And I pose to you, if that's so, then Disciplined Agile could be your currency conversion tool. So let me speak to you a little bit about each of these, and I'm going to give you a real life example of folks that have worked with Magi DA on Disciplined Agile. So currently there are well over 200 chapters that have adopted Disciplined Agile. It represents, I think, over 60 countries now, and Magi has trained folks in over 20 countries. And Barbara is one of those folks. One of the stereotypes that I want to kind of counter for you is that Disciplined Agile is only for IT. And Barbara's a good example. So Barbara's projects are projects, first of all, she's Hungarian, working in the Netherlands, and she took her class with us in Eastern time zone in English. So multi-talented right there to start with, just for the record. But she's working in the environmental industry. Environmental industry, emissions, controls, wow, really scientific-y stuff. And she has been integrating Disciplined Agile with her teams across the globe. I think that's kind of awesome. So truly globally recognized. Street cred. This is one of my favorite ones because it's one of my favorite people that you see on the slide. He's going to turn his video off because he's trying to get shy. But using the lingo, knowing the content, being confident. People can talk, but to walk the walk, right? To live it, that's different. You can make a difference. You can be awesome. So I think you guys at least know a little bit about Andy. And Andy has been in the event industry, project manager in the event industry. And hey, 18 months ago, everything changed. And he had to reinvent, reimagine his world. And so he's achieved his DASM designation, and the interviews are starting to come in like gangbusters. His confidence has grown, his understanding has grown, he can speak the language, he can live the language, and he's paving the way to his future. And I'm very excited to see where that's going to go. Advantage for employment. Disciplined Agile can be a stepping stone to that next career step. And it was so for Amanda. Amanda came to us, I believe she came to us first in maybe early this year.
And I took the class together in February.
It was February, okay. Her position was just eliminated. COVID happened, things got shut down, downsized. She did not have a job. And she said, I've got to figure out what is that thing that I can use to get my resume, get myself in front of people, and then be confident and be able to speak the right context when I'm in interviews. And Amanda said DA has helped her immensely in the interview process. She cites that she was able to think critically, adapt to complex scenario questions in a context-sensitive way, and that confidence grew, and she was able to get a new position, and she's doing great. I think that's awesome, speaking of the principles. So professional growth, I would venture to guess that everybody online here is because they want to learn something. You are growing your skill set and being here, learning about it. Maybe you can apply some things that you've learned, even the principles with what you do, right? Let's all be pragmatic. Let's see where we are and see what we can do just a little bit better. Anybody could do that. Staying current with the profession, growing with the DA community, maintaining your certifications. Well, this is Candace. Candace came to us from New York City. She works in the not-for-profit sector, and the majority, 99% of the projects that she's been on have been traditional. There's been an encouraged mandate. It's a very interesting thing, like a respectful challenge, that they need to go agile. And so she cites that as she's moving into agile, she's carried a lot of knowledge from the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master class with her into this pivot that her organization is making from traditional into agile, that it's really paved the way and helped her to evolve the way of working. So she's making some big changes with that career growth. Agility is the new workplace currency. Do we want to make sure we're enterprise aware? Of course. Does context count? Of course. Should we optimize how we work, the flow of work? Yes. Being pragmatic makes sense. Delighting customers, being awesome. Well, as I mentioned, I posed to you, then Disciplined Agile might be the workplace currency conversion tool. And this is Nick. Nick came to us in the fall of last year, and he was in an organization, but looking to up his career and get a new position. And the whole organization, large global company, was moving agile. And so Nick took Disciplined Agile, applied for a new role. He tells me that completing the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master helped me land my new product owner role with the largest rental company in the world. He's using Agile and Scrum to build the digital platform for Avis, that division of the entire company. I think that's pretty cool. Nick said, I'm really excited to put this to practice. And he was very kind. He said, I wouldn't be here without you and without Disciplined Agile. So I think that's awesome that we're seeing real lives having value propositions with adding Disciplined Agile to their portfolio, their body of knowledge. So here they are: globally recognized, street cred, advantage for employment, professional growth, agility is the new workplace currency, and Disciplined Agile could be that currency converter. My question to you is, which one resonates the most with you? Would you guys be so kind to give me that feedback? Dominic, I would be happy to chat about that. I might need to get a little more information about your friend. I'd be happy to chat about that in our mentoring session. If you can hang out for just a little bit, we'll make that the first conversation. Andy, can I get you to snag that question from Dominic so we have that? All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys for that feedback. It's quite a mix, actually. Growth, street cred, employment advantage. All right. Nobody cares about global recognition online, right? We care about North America and Ohio and Mexico City, right, Teresa? All right. So just a couple more slides to give you some ideas of what you might want to do next. I already mentioned the member benefit. So here is where you can find that: PMI.org/disciplined-agile. If you go there, do a search on Choose the Wow book, make sure you're logged in, and you can download that. Their enhanced certification, growth, etc. Lots and lots of opportunities. I want to touch on these certifications. These are all Agile certifications available through PMI. So I want to touch on these briefly. The ACP is you're demonstrating 8 months of Agile experience, 1 year of general project management experience, excuse me, and you need 21 hours of training. You must sit for and pass an exam. The Disciplined Agile Scrum Master. This is sort of your entry level. Think about it as maybe a little bit stronger than a CAPM, but it's really learning the language, learning the terms, learning how it fits together, learning about the toolkit, how to navigate it, learning the mindset. So no years of experience is required. You must attend the 14 hours of training and pass the exam. The Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master is next. And this is where you're really leading some teams. You might have been a project manager and you're using some of these techniques for your work. So you're leading the teams here. You need to have 2 years of Agile experience, 15 hours of training, and then pass the exam as well. There are 2 other ones, the Disciplined Agile Coach, and that requires 3 years of Agile coaching, as well as your Senior Scrum Master certification. Okay, now that's a 2 to 3 day training. PMI is in the process of reimagining, I like to say, with Magi as my company, the Disciplined Agile Coach. So that is not currently available to the public. They put a hold on that. You still have access to those 40 or so coaches that obtain their Disciplined Agile Coach before the recreation of it. And then the Disciplined Agile Value Stream Consultant. This has gone live with training. So there are a handful of folks permitted to do the Disciplined Agile Value Stream Consultant training. This is that high level overall organization. You need 3 years of Agile experience. You must have your Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master. It's a 2 to 3 day training. I think it's 3 at this point. And you will need to pass an exam and possibly document the experience as well. So those are the possibilities. Any of the orange ball or the blue ball, you could start at any of those. So think about your next steps. We've got experts, they're all over LinkedIn. You can join their LinkedIn groups, you can chat with them directly. We've got our guidebook here, Choose Your Wow. So grab that. You've got some coaches you could talk to and figure out what your roadmap is. I do believe that no matter where you are, I've worked with clients in the hospitality industry, in the financial service industry, in manufacturing, in transportation industry, in construction, all applying Disciplined Agile. Some industries that people thought, well, they can't do Agile. Well, guess what? Yes, they can. Disciplined Agile gives you so many choices. You can pick and choose what's going to work for you. So think about what your roadmap is going to be. I'm often asked, what did I do and how did I do it? So I put this together for you guys. I went to webinars, I got the book, I studied stuff. I got on sites and looked at presentations and learned what I could. And then I decided to get formal training. So I got that formal training, challenged the exam, and here's what I found. While I was doing my studying and preparations, I started thinking about, oh, that's awesome. Disciplined Agile principle. Wow. We were just pragmatic. We started where we were and we said, what could we do better as a team? That's cool. We started to optimize flow. I started to see how the principles showed up. I started to see how the tools could benefit my everyday walk with my clients in my life. And, get mentoring advice about choosing your way of working. Apply, plan, do, study, act for yourself, right? To improve what you do, how you do it, and repeat that loop. You may have noticed in the bottom right corner, there's a little phrase that says Betty's belief. Well, that's my mom. Betty Lou is my mother. And she used to say to us, listen, young lady, if it's to be, it's up to you. So that better be your mantra. If it's to be, it's up to me. And you can't sit around and wait for people to make things happen. You got to go make them happen. Be a go-getter. And so I want to encourage you to do that. If this is something that resonates with you, if there's some possibilities for you, start today. Figure out what's your personal goal. What's the right path for you to take? Maybe you just want to read the book. That's great. Get some understanding. Maybe you want to attend other webinars. Maybe you want a deeper dive. But figure out what's right for you. What's your roadmap? Be a little selfish with it. Go out to the PMI microsite. There's lots and lots of stuff. They keep adding and adding under PMI.org/disciplined-agile. It's really cool. Maybe you want to get formal training. Maybe you want to go for the certification. But I know you can use this to do what you do just a little better, even in your personal life. And I really believe we can all choose to be awesome if we wanted to. So that's what I had to offer you. We've got some questions, and I think we have a little time to do some of them here. For information, I have created a coupon code called PM Network that if you choose to take any of the Magi courses and register before September, I will gift you this $100 gift just because you were here with us. So snag that code. PMI is PM Network with capital P, capital M, capital N, $100, capital C, coupon. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Feel free to check out our site. There's some very cool stories. I have a lot of wonderful people that are sharing how they're using DA, and I have a bunch I need to upload. But we have a story section on magi-da.com. We invite you to take a look at that as well. And so I'll thank you, but I see some questions. Let me read this one from Elizabeth. How to implement PMP and Certified Scrum Master and possibly DA in my role as a senior software developer supporting customers on ERP software.
Yeah, Beth, this is really, I kind of wanted to leave it after Dominic's question, just for the mentoring session.
Oh, okay,
so.
okay, we can do that. Perfect, perfect.
Okay. Beth, I'm going to go ahead and just do a couple quick housekeeping things, and then we'll go straight into mentoring and further questions then. I wanted to let everybody know that we will be, if you have been on the session, which most of you have here for over 50 minutes, which I see we're still at 35 participants. So that's basically everyone who has been here. We will go ahead and send you an email with your PDU claim code, along with links to today's presentation. That'll be coming here in end of the week, maybe over the weekend, but you'll be receiving it within the next few days, and you can go ahead and make your PDU claims from there. Outside of that, then
I see Amani has a hand up. Is there a question? Amani, do you want to unmute and ask a question? Oh, no, the hand was up. So, okay, sorry. Andy, do you want me to stop the recording at this point?
You can. Okay. And then I will just turn things back over to you. I have Dominic's question pulled up if you want me to reread that for the group, which was,